I can feel the tug of the halter at the nape of her neck, the wind on her naked front. It blows her nipples to amber beads. It shakes the frail rigging of her ribs. I can see her drowned body in the bog, the weighing stone, the floating rods and bars, under which at first she was a bark sapling that is dug up, oak bone, brain, firking. Her shaved head like a stubble of black corn, her blindfold a soiled bandage, her noose a ring. To store the memories of love, little adulteress, before they punished you. You were flaxen-haired, undernourished, and your tar black face was beautiful, my poor scapegoat. I almost loved you, but would have cast, I know, the stones of silence. I am the artful voyeur. Of your brains exposed and darkened combs, your muscles webbing, and all your numbered bones. I who have stood dumb when your betraying sisters, called in tar, wept by the railings. Who would connive in civilized outrage, yet understand the exact and tribal, intimate revenge? Alright, I put most of the effort in the video, so these are the slides. Alright, so first impression. Describing what is being uncovered is an interesting find from history. This is strange. How do her nipples turn to amber beads? Because it says her nipples turn to amber beads. That's pretty weird. He's trying to visualize the process. I'll do a few more. I find it interesting how people describe things from long ago. I wouldn't use black corn as a description because they mentioned black corn. Like, I'm not going to use that as an adjective. The author has empathy for the body and recounts her crime. How does he know she cheated? I mean, was he there in the year 2000 during the Iron Age? I don't think so. The next one, how does he know she was blonde as well? Like, you didn't live there, buddy. My one sentence summary is a woman is punished brutally by her tribe for committing adultery, and her death frozen in time. The poem in prose, the speaker observes the body of a woman found in a bog formed many centuries ago. He describes the physical blows of her anatomy and sympathetic towards her. In his observation, he feels so deeply for the girl, but believes that he would have done no better to help her if he were in her time. Now let's do some connotations. Alright, I'm gonna do only like 5 connotations. I'll put the rest on screen though. Bog, denotation, a wet spongy area of land that often has dead plant life. Connotations, a spooky, eerie area of muddy secrets. Punishment, denotation, a penalty inflicted for wrongdoing. Death, uncertainty of what might happen, painful cruelty. Naked, without clothing, connotation is privacy violated, degraded, shame, powerlessness. Noose is the 4th one. Denotation, a rope with a loop knot, often used for hanging. Connotation, punishment, death, execution, wrongdoing. And then we'll do little adulteress. Denotation, a young woman who committed adultery. Connotations, innocent, young, a diminishment of a woman's humanity. My journalistic analysis. Alright, who? The speaker is an observer of a girl who was punished for adultery. Where? Body found from northern Europe in a bog. When? The poem is written around the 1960s but describes a scene from the Iron Age 2,000 years ago. What? The poem describes a woman found in a bog. Why? The woman was killed by a tribe for committing adultery, and the speaker is an observer of the moment in history. Alright, I don't think I could do any more of this, like, Collins assignment. I'm honestly gonna use ChatGPT, but, damn, I don't really know if Collins is gonna, like, he's probably gonna know I'm using ChatGPT, so I'm probably gonna end up looking up a video. Let me see. Alright, let's see. Is there any videos? Oh! This is a perfect one right here! Oh wow, ethical ways to do your homework?
What's up YouTube? Today, we're gonna find ethical ways to do our homework. First step, put on your coat robe.
Step 2, get a paper. Step 3, write help me 3 times on the paper. Step 4, bleed on the paper in any way, shape or form. Step 5, go to these coordinates. Step 6. Bring $25 to put with your paper.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Let me know how your ritual goes down in the comments. Thank you, YouTube.
Let's see. Help me. Help me. Alright. Now I need some blood. Where am I gonna get blood? Oh, there we go. Now we gotta go bury it, and I need $25. Alright, I made it to the coordinates. So I'm gonna have to bury it right here. Alright, I didn't have $25, so I have 25 cents. I think this should work. Oh gosh! What's So the poem is in 4-line stanzas, so a quatrain. The poem follows no specific rhyme scheme and varies from stanza to stanza. So we can see it's A, B, C, D, and then it kind of just keeps going because there's no real rhyme scheme, if I'm doing this correctly. Now, the type of poem is a free write poem in which there's no real set rhythm or scansion. This allows the speaker to freely express himself in any way he wants. Heine uses alliteration and consonants to create a dark, moody feeling, like when he says, "It shakes the frail rigging of her ribs," to mimic the feeling of this cold punishment. Alright, this part's a little confusing because there's so many things that overlap on each other with the coloring stuff. So for automatopoeia, I have tug and blows. And for, let's see, alliteration is in the yellow. I'll show more. Consonants, her shaved head or blindfold, soiled bandage. We also have numbered bones. Alright, and then here are some other ones as well. Pause the video if you need to. Gosh. I'm gonna call one of my friends. I can't do this alone. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, I need help. A lot of help. I had to do an assignment for my English class and I accidentally summoned the devil.
Oh. How nice. What do you need help with?
Well, I need help getting rid of the devil because he's telling me stuff that's like very helpful to my poem assignment, but like he's making me kill kids. He's making me kill very tall people in the desert. And I don't know what's going on, man. Like, I genuinely need your help right now.
Man, I'm not even in that class. It ain't my problem.
Well, it's your problem now. I'm gonna go find you right now, okay?
Wow, I really like my Polylip pin. That means every week, Wednesdays, B14, and Fridays, TO5.
Whew. I'm getting another revelation. Alright, let's see. Metaphor is in red. You can see all the colors right there. Pause if you need to. But here we go. Metaphor, we have bark sapling right here. We have a Synodochet right here for frail rigging. I'll put some other images so you can see more examples. Alright, so we have a simile right here, shaved head, black corn, her blindfold, a soiled bandage. So it's a similar because a blindfold and a soiled bandage are kind of the same thing. Same thing with shaved head and black corn. They're similar. And then we have another metaphor where it says like a stubble and her noose ring. And then at the very end we have another metaphor, which is my poor scapegoat. I'll name an example of, let's see, illusion. Alright, so we have an example of illusion. It says betraying sisters. And then in the green we have metonymy, so stones of silence and called in tar. Alright, so we have the stones of silence for metonymy. And what else do we have? We need our personification. So a good one of personification could be in the first slide. Yeah, so in the first slide it says it blows and it shakes. So that's referring to the wind, basically kind of personifying the wind into something that shakes and does a bunch of stuff to this woman. We have an example of apostrophe. Yeah, it's right here. Apostrophe. He says, "I almost love you," which, as we know, apostrophe is speaking to something that's not there, and the person is clearly dead, so he can't really say, "I almost love you" to the dead woman. Alright, we're almost done with this. Here is my list of things we need to find. For verbal irony, we have little adulteress because she's an adulteress and he's saying little, it's ironic. Alright, and right here for dramatic irony, we have I almost love you. He's saying I almost love you to a dead body, so that's pretty ironic. He talks about the stones of silence, which is pretty dramatic as well. And who would connive in civilized outrage? I don't understand the exacting tribal intimate revenge. Oxymoron, we have civilized outrage because civilized and outrage kind of don't go together. And for let me see, hyperbole, your muscles webbing and all your numbered bones is being pretty dramatic. And at the bottom, I say all devices used to show the reader the grim event of the bog woman. The author wants us to see the woman as a person like me and you, who once lived and was persecuted for injustice. There are frequent patterns of sympathy and empathy for women and metaphors to parallel her humanity. Gosh, alright, let's get this assignment done. Where are my keys? Oh, there we go. It's a pretty nice day outside. Alright, this is my part 4. I was honestly not too sure how long to do this for, so it's pretty short. So, the diction of the poem sets a tone for his guilt, empathy, and emphasis on tribal brutality. He says things like, I almost love you, to show how his emotions stretch for the bog woman. Phrases like, the frail rigging of her ribs, to show the torture inflicted upon the woman. The syntax, the poem is uneven and its rhythm and uneasy to the reader to read. This helps set the tone of uneasiness of the scene being described. The imagery is brutal, describing the woman's body in full depth, from her undernourished body, the blindfold and noose around her neck, to the description of her mangled body. Alright, I just made it here with my car that's definitely mine. I just gotta find a sacrifice. Oh. It is just a beautiful evening. I'm so happy right now. Seamus Heaney was born in 1939 in County Derry, Ireland, and died in 2013 in Dublin, Ireland. He was born into a Catholic family during a time of political sectarian tension in Ireland. He studied he studied at Queen Belfast, where he was part of a group called Belfast. This rural upbringing would set group inspiration for future poems. His poems consisted of nature, history, violence, and identity themes mostly related to conflicts in Northern Ireland. In 1966, he published The Naturalist, which was his first major collection of literature. This led him to become a big voice in the poem game at the time. In 1995, he got the Nobel Prize for Literature. He taught at Harvard and Oxford as a professor. Style and philosophy. Seamus Heaney's poetic style is shown by rich sensory imagery, lyrical language, and a big connection to nature, history, and personal memory. It blends myth with modern experiences. He uses simple diction to explore complex themes. His poetry reflects a strong moral consciousness, while he talks with ideas of guilt, silence, and responsibility in the face of political violence. Heaney believed poetry should bear witness to human suffering and preserve truth through language. Though inspired strongly in Irish identity and history, in his work speaks universally, showing how personal and political experiences intertwine. His poems remain powerful for their emotional depth, ethical tension, and musical beauty. Influence of the time was the tension between Catholics and Protestants. The Catholics were part of the minority and faced crude tension at the time. All this conflict resulted in the Troubles, which was a decades-long political era of violence and division over political, religious, and national culture. And for the last part, hope everyone's still awake. Here's a discussion of Heaney loved the rural land and life of Ireland. His earlier poems go in depth on the culture of rural Ireland, including themes of spirituality, nature, and history. Haney loved archaeology, and when seeing the reveal of a bog woman, he was able to draw a comparison from the crude punishments from 2,000 years ago in the Iron Age to modern-day Ireland, which influenced his poem, The Punishment. The woman in the bog is a parallel to how in Ireland, Irish girls who married British soldiers were brutally killed by the Irish Revolutionary Army. He was also influenced by classical literature, mainly Dante and Yeats. Although he did not want to be political, he felt he had a moral obligation to bring many of the vices of his time through poetry. While all the tension going on in Ireland during the time, he parallels in his poem, If the tribalism back in the Iron Age is any better than modern civility of Ireland. As Haney said, he is an artful voyeur and would rather stand back and observe and understand the weight of society. Alright, I have my critical reviews. So, hascolon.org says that The Punishment is one of the most touching poems included in the poems volume entitled North. He uses the title of the poem to question the justification of punishment meted down out of to the frail young girl. He finds it deeply shocking that such a tribal mode of ruthless punishment continues through the ages. Another review by this person named Sharma Keeter on BackshreMaster.com says the poet gives a great parallel between how Irish revolutionaries would kill women in Ireland who would date Englishmen, and it's a great parallel of the Iron Age and nowadays with in modern Ireland, well, 1968 Ireland. So yeah, those are the critical reviews.
Waiters, over here.
Here's our dessert special.
This dessert, it reminds me of a lot. It reminds me of my recap on my poem assignment I did when Mr. Collins' class 30 years ago.
I don't care. I
wasn't done finishing.
Oh.
The poem, I had to summon the devil. I had to run over kids. I had to kill tall white man. I had to kill kids. I had to summon the devil. And for a poem about some people ripping a woman in half. Honestly, the poem wasn't that good. I really liked the poem, but like it wasn't that good because it was kind of long and I didn't want to work on it. But the rhyme scheme sucked as well. I would have liked a rhymier poem. But I had to kill kids.
Well, that's nice, sir.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy your cake.
I didn't order that cake.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Oh, okay.
Hope this guy tips me well.